You're going to continue to observe the drop zone as a whole and give information that makes sense to you in a way that is respectful and kind and not flaring up, as we say, the secondary explosions.
Right.
And when the people that have a lower level of give a shit for safety, that have developed a tough skin, if you will, for safety stuff, like, it always works, don't worry about it. This is how we've always done it. This one, don't worry, you guys, you young kids, you worry about everything. When in fact, they just haven't had the numbers stack up enough for their complacency to kill them yet, right? So they still are having faith that, it'll be fine. You just have to recognize that sometimes these people are not going to change. Their attitude is not going to change. The miserable bastards, the people that just continue to, sort of have faith in the bigness of space and the unlikelihood of these dangerous things catching up to them. You can say something to them, you can point it out, but if they're not going to change, this is free will, man. That's the nature of it. It's just when it comes to the newer folks, when you're giving advice to the newer folks and you got somebody else in there that's saying, oh yeah, that's nothing, that is a little bit harder. And so the best thing you can do is make logical arguments, right? You can say, listen, I don't have as many jumps as that guy over there that said, don't worry about it, right? But let's think of it this way. Here's the math, here's the material science, here's the statistics of what tends to happen. And if need be, I'm here for you to split arguments. If you need somebody to sort of step in and say, actually, it's probably a good idea to clean up your lines if they look like shit when they're being stowed, because a spinner from a line knot is not always easily cleared, and a cutaway sometimes results in a lost canopy, and on rare occasion a fatality. So I can back you up if need be. I think that the irritation thing isn't serving you. The emotional interference in your head, I don't think that's helping you. But I do think that your attention to detail does help you, that your desire to find what's wrong in your environment to protect you and everybody around you, that's a good thing. But take your emotions out of it. And I know that's almost impossible, but you do your best to step out of the emotional aspect of it and pretend you're safety officer Spock. I'm going to be empirical, logical, mathematical, but I'm not going to get barky. Yeah, you know what skillful means, man. It's not easy. There's times when you have to really take a breath, the middle of, and you start off and you realize you're not doing it. You're getting pissed, you're getting angry, because why do people get angry? Because they're scared. It's at the root of it. Is there fear? You take that out of it, and you're not pursuing safety out of fear. Right? I don't recommend pursuing safety out of fear. You're pursuing it out of this desire to do it right, to do it the best possible way, to be an optimizer. But the fear attitude, I think it causes too much interference and too much confusion and too much skewing of probabilities in our perspective and our understanding of what's occurring here. You can look at like a seatbelt over somebody's shoulder and go, oh, that's dangerous, because you can envision the worst case scenario, but it's taking out of this the probability, which is extremely low, that that's ever going to be a problem. I've had people clip a seatbelt onto my shoulder because there absolutely was no other option, and it was that or no seatbelt. And I just went, all right. And it bothered me until I realized that I just have to accept this risk in this moment. It's that or not jump. I have the option of not jumping. That's one of the things that I can do. Sometimes you just have to accept that this is a temporary exposure to a slightly higher risk, but what's the probability that it's going to be an issue? My fear makes a whole big, frothy case for why this is the worst thing in the world, when actually that was mostly my ego just wanting to be righteous. It wasn't the actual probability that it's going to kill anybody. Well, if you're doing it every single time, if there's a way to make a systemic change to, for instance, where the seatbelts are set up, or what's the procedure for the person in the door, because that stuff adds up. You keep jumping with an incorrect configuration with the seatbelts or packing or procedures. Eventually, yes, the chances of this showing up as see, you died because you were an idiot. It's coming closer and closer. So that's where you make a systemic change. That's where you have safety meetings, not just one ego versus another ego, but group discussions where maybe you change the location of the seatbelts, or maybe you change the procedures to how we pack on this drop zone or whatever it is. Yeah, I had a seatbelt on my yoke this weekend once. It's just I looked around and there was absolutely no other possibility for me to have my center of gravity forward for the takeoff, which was, I think, in a lot of ways more important than the seatbelt, because chances are I'm not going to need the seatbelt. But if I sit in the back of the plane with a couple other big guys, now we're all going to need seatbelts because the fucker's going to stall on takeoff.
Part of it's trusting the person behind you that's locking you in as well, that they're going to unlock you and look back and make sure they unlock you.
It is a vulnerable feeling. There's no doubt that the best practice would be for each individual to have immediate access to their own seatbelts. If our objective is to always be completely self-reliant for everything, no, that's not sustainable. We are mutually reliant. Even if it's a side belt in a loaded up situation or chaos, you may have to ask your buddy to help you anyway. That's skydiving. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's going to be, hey, can you help me open the door? Or can you help me with this or that? We survive because of our mutual reliance. And I think that's beautiful. Yeah, you got to step out of the exasperation zone. You know what I mean? Like where you know what is right and wrong with some of it, not all of it. Nobody does. And then you scan the drop zone for reasons to get pissed off at people. That's you know what I mean? You got to step out of that zone and just say, I'm looking for an opportunity to help people in a very gentle way. That's sustainable. That you can keep on going. Because that's been my role. I'm constantly walking around going, hey, by the way, did you know your slider stop is missing from your end cell? And that's why that tandem keeps spinning on opening. They did that in Australia. No, New Zealand. It was New Zealand. They're like, how the hell did you see that? Because it's what I do. I look at air tax, I look at details, but I'm not doing it to make you wrong. I'm doing it because I fucking love you people.
That's awesome. Oh.
We gotta do that again.
I love my job.